These historic high banks have opened many a racing season, both real and virtual. There's just nowhere else that feels right to kick off a NASCAR-style racing season other than the World Center of Racing. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Daytona Beach, Florida. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the Daytona 300 for the Icon Cup Series. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, and CC's Business. It is a good day to be at the virtual high banks in the virtual World Center of Racing. We are about to embark on a year-long journey to find the champion of the Icon Cup Series, and there is no journey quite like that. Welcome to the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Once again, it's a pleasure to welcome you all to this brand new season of racing. We joined Icon for their winter series, of course, over the fall and winter of 2023 and into 2024, and now we get to kick things off properly. Daytona International Speedway, we'll talk more about it. Everybody loves and knows it. We'll just leave it there. But on track now, qualifying is actually happening, and cars are starting to set their fastest times on the racetrack. One of those being the number 11, Heath Smith, a part-timer straight to the top of the board. Now Kevin Gunther moves up in the number 31 car. So we'll take a look at qualifying and see what these drivers have to offer, and then during our 5-minute warm-up session talk a little bit more about what we're going to see this evening. As here we go, we'll get ourselves properly into the sim. Look at Kevin Gunther, car number 31, a Chevrolet. Heath Smith, second quick. Ryan Patty also on track in his DeWalt, number 30. And at the start-finish line, car 30, he's already pretty quick, third on the timing charts. That lap, well, it's going to be a little bit slower, as Michael Milfelt Jr. will go to the top of the board in an outdated Ken Schrader look-alike paint scheme. Anthony Tizeo goes to the third spot in car 15. He's been quick through practice and now qualifying. Cameron Thompson, quick as well, in the top 5. Daniel Nyman paced the practice session for most of the evening. And now Justin Michael to the top of the board. The Backroad Bandits in his Toyota Camry. A lot is changing very quickly in this qualifying session. Michael Christopher, the top of the board in car number 70. Brought aboard with a couple of drivers just beginning their runs. Here's Jacob Gladulich. He's one of the few that have not turned a time yet, with a minute and change left in this session. On board with driver 14, he rounds turns 3 and 4. He'll have just enough time, it looks like, to go for a second lap in qualifying. He has timed this out perfectly down to the very last moment. That is lap, actually that was lap 2. He had a problem lap 1, and he's real close to pole. 9th position, just 2/100ths of a second off pace. How about Brock Hersley? He's got a chance to turn a lap still. And Timothy Harper will have just one shot at a qualifying lap this evening in car number 12 as he rounds turns 3 and 4 as well. Brock Hersley down the backstretch in his number 24 Chevrolet Camaro. Let's ride on board then. Timothy Harper to the start-finish line, this time by inside the helmet. And for Harper, he's not going to go onto the apron. It'll be a 49.3, and that's quick. 5th for car number 12, Brock Hersey into the trial for this time in the number 24. Can he go any better than, 20th? 49.3, that's towards the top of the board. That'll be 18th, actually. That's how close this field is. A low 49.3 only puts him 18th, and that is qualifying sorted out very, very quickly. And we can welcome you in proper now and take a look at our season schedule, and you'll recognize a lot of influence from the NASCAR Cup Series in 2024. However, there are a couple of differences. As you look down the schedule, of course, we are starting here on February 25th, not on February 18th like the NASCAR Cup Series did last week, or at least tried to do before rain hampered that. So we're already a little bit behind. Atlanta was earlier this evening. Fantastic finish if you haven't watched it yet. So we're going to Las Vegas next. we're basically scratching Atlanta from the first portion of the schedule, and you can see it has a couple of dates later on in the season. Of course, we are racing through the Olympic break over the summer of 2024, as opposed to the NASCAR Cup Series, since they'll, of course, have NBC on board and not be able to race through that break. So there's a big difference. That enables us to actually fit in a 37th race, as opposed to the NASCAR Cup Series running 36. So things are just a little bit different here and there. But we do go from Daytona out to Las Vegas, Phoenix, Bristol, and then the first road course of the season, 50 laps at Circuit of the Americas. And you'll notice these aren't full NASCAR Cup length races. They aren't half-length races. They're actually set to 60% race length compared to the NASCAR Cup Series, with a 60% fuel level to match. So something to keep in mind for every racetrack this season. It's just a little bit different. And that means we'll see a fuel window of around 24 laps, I believe, with this car in particular. And that might change. It might vary a little bit per these stages. But we'll talk more about that for this race in particular in a moment. But just take a look at this whole schedule. And the most jarring difference, I think, is that Daytona is our playoff opener. And the Icon Cup playoffs are a bit different from the NASCAR playoffs. You see there are still 4 rounds, a round of 16, a round of 12, a round of 8, a round of 4. But you see those elimination lines. And those lines break this playoff schedule into 4 equal rounds of 3 races. Atlanta is your first elimination race, then Kansas, then Las Vegas, and then there's 3 races for the final 4 to put together the most points they possibly can to win the championship between Homestead, Miami, Martinsville Speedway, and Phoenix Raceway to end the season. This is going to be a wild season of racing. There's an extra race. These guys are racing 3 races in the round of 4. There is so much to unpack over the course of 2024, and we will be joining you for a partial schedule on Sundays throughout this calendar year. With all of that in mind and out of the way, more or less, we can talk a little more about what we're doing here this evening, get the schedule out of the way, and take a look at our Whiplash SimCam's race details. Bottom right of the screen, 120 lap for the race this evening. We do have 3 stages, just like the NASCAR Cup Series, although abbreviated slightly to match the race distance. So we're running 39 laps in each of the first 2 stages, which means we'll have stage breaks after the completion of lap 39 and the completion of lap 78. We have 5 change sets of tires, which is going to link up more or less with the abbreviated fuel load as well. We also have an incident penalty at 24 incidents, then at 9 incidents beyond that. So there's a little bit of leniency for sure, especially getting this season off, going to Daytona International Speedway. These drivers just might need it. And of course, no fast repairs, 60% fuel. There is a lot going on for this opening race of the season. Now, if you're hearing my voice currently, well, awesome. That means that YouTube hasn't failed you yet, at least if you're watching on YouTube. We do have a few different platforms we stream to, and it seems like they might have to be utilized a little more this evening than is usual. YouTube does seem to be having some connectivity issues, not even connectivity issues, some buffering issues, some quality issues. I couldn't even watch a YouTube video while prepping for this broadcast. It was loading so slowly at anything more than 144p, which is straight out of 2006. So if you are having issues over on YouTube and you happen to hear this, we do have a few other platforms available for your choosing. Personally, I would recommend either Facebook or Twitch, but there are also Twitter and Kick that you can give a shot if you so choose. Warm-up is coming to a close, and there isn't a whole lot going on other than Daniel Nyman being fast again in this session, but we can take a look at the weather conditions for this race, and I think they're rather fascinating because we're right in the middle of the 70s. It's not too hot, not too cold, and a lot of leagues, they kind of just set the weather date to whatever and forget about it. It seems like whether that's been the case here this evening or not, we have a very realistic kind of race here today. 82-degree track temp, maybe a little cool for Daytona in February, just slightly, but this is very much a realistic kind of temperature that these drivers have to contend with this evening. This is awesome, in my opinion. It's a very small thing, but when it comes down to handling issues over the course of a long green flag run, I think we are going to see a pretty darn good race. Well, I catch my breath, you guys catch your breath. We're about to go down to the grid and meet our starting grid for the first time in 2024. Let's go down trackside and meet those who will be kicking this season off for the Icon Cup Series. On row number 1, give a warm welcome to Justin Michael and Michael Christopher. The row of the Michaels apparently just in different order. How about cars 87 and 70 on the front row? That is a big deal for those guys. Nathan Finnegan will bring us to the green flag in third place. Michael Milfelt Jr., I'll have to get that name right, over the course of 37 races. He joins us from fourth. On down through the field, how about Timothy Harper in the 5th position? Right next to him will be Kevin Gunther in the number 31. Starting 7th, you'll have Vincent Laraya in the 67, Anthony Teseo in the number 15 car, and to round out your top 10, Cameron Thompson and Daniel Nyman, who's been so fast in practice. A little off in qualifying. I think the 51 car will be real quick, though, once we chop the green. Jacob Gladulich this evening, starting off in the 14 car in 11th position. Adam Ball joining us from 12th. 13th and 14th, Zach Lockett and Luke Rakowski. Let the rest of those drivers go by on your screen. Pick out your favorite. Maybe let us know in YouTube chat who you're pulling for, where you're watching from, maybe why you're rooting for your favorite driver in the race this evening as you watch everybody get into formation. And while we have this opportunity down the Daytona Super Stretch, let's also go through some of our onboard cameras brought to you by Whiplash SimCams. Onboard here with Luke Rakowski. He joins us from the 14th spot on the grid. How about Heath Smith on this next row? Row number 12. He starts from the 23rd position alongside league owner Ryan Patty. We'll go inside the helmet here of Daniel Nyman, who starts from 10th. And a little further back, how about Joshua Clemens from row number 15? He's next up on your grid graphic. He's got some work to do. That's just a taste of the onboard cameras this evening, thanks to Whiplash SimCams. And of course, tonight's coverage brought to you by Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, and CC's Business, as we have 39 cars, yes, 39, ready to go racing this evening. It seems like Jason Bridges has had an internet connectivity issue, so he will not join us on the grid. That leaves us then with 38 for 120 laps, 300 miles to get this season started and into the Geico restart zone to turn things up. Green flag at Daytona. Down the backstretch for the first time, side by side, Justin Michael up top. He quickly got in line with Michael Christopher, and they now pull the lead into turn 3. Nathan Finnegan down low in car number 6, looked great through 1 and 2. He's fallen back ever so slightly as they round turn 4 for the first time today. And down to the start-finish line, who's it going to be at the stripe? How about our pole sitter, Justin Michael, car number 87, fastest to the line, lap 1 complete. Christopher in the 70 going to drop down to the bottom side and jump out of line. He wants his turn at the race lead. Beautiful shot through turn number 2. And, well, there we go. A couple of drivers now dropping to the back. It's rare to have drivers pushing to lead early in this race. At the same time, you'll have those few who absolutely do go for it. And that moment for the 70 of Christopher is why I personally, if I'm in these races, which I rarely am, I usually sit back around the 20th spot, somewhere in the middle of the field, but just off of the lead pack. And it tends to be that kind of 15th to 20th in a larger field like this. But up front, these guys want these laps led. Christopher gets the purple lap, then Patty, crash! And cars go everywhere. Lap number 3. Eric Smith, maybe one of those cars? No. They actually got going pretty quickly after the initial contact. There was a head-on impact for one car. and it might have been Robert Bluen in the number 99, and I believe it was. Bluen started 25th, and it looks like was right around there when this accident took place, and that's a lot more wheel than he should be putting into the car on the banking. I think we're about to see a pit stop for Bluen. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Well, here comes Bluen into the pit lane. We'll take a look back at what happened on lap 3 for driver 99. What's going to happen back here? Well, a little further back actually. Down the short chute, getting pushed by the 72 car, 73 rather. That's Anthony Campbell. At the 99 a bit sideways, crash into the wall. Ryan Patty's center punch to the nose on lap 3. 330, Robert Dials was nearly a part of that crash as well. A little further back, we can take a look at what happened from the onboard of Anthony Campbell's machine. Looks like you might get the 99 loose right there, and, well, maybe Bluen just went down the racetrack. I don't know. Either way, a big impact for the 99 car. I'm surprised he was able to keep rolling. Look at that. Nearly takes out Dials, but otherwise, that crash was relatively short-lived. And for the 30 car, Ryan Patty was right behind those two when they came through the trioval. On board. You can tell something was going on, but you could never tell there was a crash going to happen until pretty much the last moment. And then one car goes way slow back here. I'm not actually sure who it was. I think it was just guys trying to avoid things, and pretty rolled away decently quick. Maybe there was an accordion at first, but pretty good job by everybody to avoid that as a couple of cars worked down the pit lane. This is Hanover Fist in the pits. Ryan Patty taking service. Hate that for the league owner, Ryan Patty, to be involved lap 3 and have to take all these repairs, but the 30 car will roll back out, and the nose of that car, truthfully, looks okay. Anthony Campbell going to leave as well. A lot of left front damage. And there's Tanner Dio in the 20. He rolls away okay. It's Robert Bluen we're worried about, and, well, a lap down already. I don't think the 99 will be with us on the lead lap, at least for a while. He remains in the pit lane, and our race leaders work NASCAR, well, NASCAR 3 and 4. I'm used to the road course, apparently. No road course racing in sight here at Pit Stop TV, though it's a whole bunch of oval racing. So if oval racing is your thing, take a look at what we have upcoming at the channel. Tuesday evening, we head out to Lucama, North Carolina, at least virtually anyway, for the Southern National Motorsports Park with the Lucky Motorsport Solutions Street Stocks, brought to you by Elevated Performance. We'll double up on broadcasts from Southern National this week as we head there on Leap Day as well with the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. Sunday evening, of course, a week from tonight, we head to race number 2 with this bunch. We head out to Las Vegas, Sin City, for race number 2 on March 3rd at 7:45 Eastern. Now, we were slightly delayed getting live, and again, if any of you guys are watching that maybe, well, if you're watching on YouTube and you are having issues, you can head over to the platform, but it looks like we're having great numbers right now. A big thank you to you guys for watching. It seems like things are okay. But if you do have issues, there are other platforms just in case you need them, as there are for all of our broadcasts. once more worth taking a look at the schedule, and we'll do this, I think, quite a bit this evening if we get these kinds of cautions. There's so many races, so many good tracks to talk about. This is largely a NASCAR schedule, of course. Really, there's only a couple of big differences. Those being, some of those, actually, we talked about a lot of them earlier. As far as track choice, though, we're pretty much right in line with NASCAR, except for race 22, where we head to Atlanta Motor Speedway's Legacy version. And we'll probably make better note of that in future iterations of this graphic, but we're heading today to Atlanta, race 22, the old version. Going to be an interesting race. And of course, right after that, we head out to California Speedway, formerly Auto Club Speedway, but California Speedway for race 23 for 120 laps. That will be, I think, a really fun race, a really good race, but of course, no longer on the NASCAR schedule. It's actually torn up, and one of my home tracks is no longer with us in reality. Well, back into the Geico restart zone we will go. The iRacing.com pace truck will head to the relative safety of pit lane, and we'll get this race back underway. Michael Christopher back on the loud pedal, back green at Daytona. Timothy Harper, a presence on the bottom side on this restart in the 155 of Milfett. He goes up high, right in front of Gladulich, who gladly lifts and avoids a crash here on lap number 7. Speaking of the number 7, Cameron Thompson into the 7th spot on this restart as everybody tries to find their footing early. Gladulich now down to the bottom of the racetrack. And quickly we're seeing how dominant the top side of this speedway is this evening. Michael Christopher, though, a bit sideways off the nose of the 87. They keep it together to complete lap 7 with the 70 in the lead. Vincent Laraya, a little ways back in this top bunch. He's actually 11th now, 12th on the racetrack, as this driver out of Michigan finds his way behind the back road bandits, number 11 of Heath Smith. And there are a handful of part-timers in this race, and there will be, I think, most of, if not the entire season. It just so happens that Heath Smith is one of them. And the number 11 car will keep an eye on some of those throughout the course of the evening, as everybody's all over the place at a turn 4. 3 cars in the outside wall. Those are the 87, the 51, and the 33. That's Michael, Nyman, and Rakowski. That was interesting, to say the least. Maybe we'll have to talk to some drivers and see if maybe they're having some issues handling the race car. I wouldn't expect it to have been this kind of issue this early in the race, but if we go on board with a couple of these guys in the helmet, in the corners, here's Kyle Purcell. As he runs 17th, there goes Ryan Patty on the outside. This is kind of right where the business is happening. It seems like his hands are steady. Maybe go up to some of the guys hitting the wall last lap. Here's Heath Smith, that part-timer we talked about. Big shot briefly from the 12 car as Michael Christopher is discarded of in the front. He drops down to 8th from the race lead, and he's going further back. Jumps in front of Laraya now in turn 2. That's a bit bold. They'll keep it together. Bit of single file racing up in the front, and you'll notice we have green driver number cards for these guys in this race, and those will evolve a little bit throughout the season. They'll be green for the regular season. If you look at the icon logo, though, top right of your screen, even bottom left rather, the colors of the logo go green, yellow, and blue. So, this season, those graphics they're starting green here at Daytona, and for the regular season, crash! Never mind, we'll come back to that in a minute. We've got cars all over the racetrack through turn 1. Gladulich, the most glaring of the issues. He got the wall pretty good, and we stay green. Well, as we get ready to go to a replay, anyways, we've got those green numbers for now. When we get to the playoffs, they will be yellow until the finale at Phoenix, where the final four will be displayed in blue number tiles, and everybody else, the other playoff drivers will have yellow. The drivers no longer in the playoffs at that point will have, see, everything's catching up. The non-playoff drivers will have green still. Those who've been eliminated will keep their yellow numbers, but just an interesting note as we take one more look at what happened here to the 14 car, middle of the group. He's in line, tried to go up, wasn't clear, and, well, a save, honestly, by everybody who had to go onto the apron. Still a little bit of contact made, and I think that was the 93, maybe? No. Well, we'll find who that was. Regardless, fantastic driving by those around that to not have a bigger incident, as we see cars being a bit aggressive in the back again as lap 12 is complete. The 95 is slow. That is Charles Widener. Maybe supposed to be Charles Widener. And we have got a few very distinct packs in this race. In a few very distinct places. The race leaders are out front, of course, with looks like about 9 in their group, going back through Michael Christopher. Zach Lockett then leads the next group of machines from 10th through 15th, including that of Charles Widener in the number 95, and even Bluen, a lapped car. Kyle Purcell then leads the next group, the 01, through, looks like, oh man, maybe the 69 of Hanover Fist. And that was the 96, by the way, Evan Patinko, who was put in the fence by the number 14 of Gladulich. You see all the damage there to the 96 car. Lucky to get away without more. I'm sure he wishes he had got a caution out of that. So a few distinct packs. That goes all the way back into the 30s even. Then there's this group. Jameson Haviland in the 25, Adam Ball in the 19, Brock Hersey in the 24, and Justin Bissonette in the 06. Kyle Corley is on his own in car number 88. Stephen Tuck back here has Eric Smith to work with, a part-time driver as well. And finally, Robert Bluen joins us from 37th. Mike Jennings has called it a day and is out of this race. Well, as a jet lands on the backstretch, it looks like we're quickly headed towards maybe the evening in Sim. The sun's already getting pretty low. We might just race under the lights here by the time this race is over. Oh, absolutely. Look at the sun behind the grandstands. And that's going to affect these drivers to a point. Of course, it's nothing like you see in real life, but you will still get that glare, particularly around turns 3 and 4. And this kind of single-file racing is much newer to iRacing than it is to real life. You know, go back to old Daytona with all the bumps and bruises all over the racetrack and the bruises that it gives to the drivers in the car. And, you know, that old track, old worn-out surface kind of strung the field out. It was more of a handling game than a pack game. We haven't seen that kind of single-file racing on iRacing, though, for really until the last few years. Even when it was more popular in the COT, hardly the COT, really the Gen 6, when it was first introduced in the NASCAR Cup Series, and even some NASCAR Xfinity Series races, which technically they use a version of the COT. You know, it's become a much larger thing. Of course, it even happened this past year, or this past week at Daytona. But on iRacing, it just hasn't been that popular. It's been difficult actually to get a line like this going around the top side of the racetrack. It seems like this particular car and this particular package have given us this style of racing finally. And I admire it genuinely as we get a line of cars now from 1st through 15th, including that lap car of Bluen. And here is Charles Widener at the back, moving around to be trying to get a run on the 4 of Cody Neal. He'll get the run, but where is he going to go with it? Where will he go? Nobody knows. DeZeo thought about it, but Anthony sticks in line. He's actually still thinking about it. He's going to bring the 4 of Cody Neal. There's a little bit of energy back here. All it took was Widener looking around, and quickly, drivers started to think about it. Thomas Taylor, though, refrains from moving down on that 57, but these guys in the back, they want to go forward. And with 20 laps to go and a couple of circuits around here, we just might be in that range where these guys want to position themselves to race for stage points. I know it's still a bit early. We might still have a fuel stop for these guys. We should still have a fuel stop for these guys. There's another taker. There we go. A few more cars down to the bottom side of the racetrack, including the 7 and 12 cars of Thompson. Well, Harper in the 12 and Thompson there in the 7. And a few more leaders starting to look that way. Lariah thought about it maybe for a moment. The 51 of Nyman, it looks like, considered it. And for Harper, this is a difficult game to play. If you can't go forward, the guys behind you, they don't consider that maybe they need to do anything different. No, if the lead car doesn't go anywhere, those guys behind automatically want to pass it. I think maybe that car is holding them up, no matter what. And sometimes it is the case, but oftentimes it might be on the car pushing, but it seems like they are making decent headway. And now the 33 drops down. That's Luke Rakowski. He's had some issues. He got in the wall earlier. All things told, they're running a great race for the 33 car. And it looks like, if you'd like to, the 33 car is accepting sponsorships. Down to the bottom, though, goes Daniel Nyman, and that just might be good enough for the race lead. This time by the stripe, working lap 20 of 120. Nyman couldn't quite get there, but he was awfully close, and he might have it next time by the flag. These drivers are catching up onto some lap traffic as we have ourselves a 2-file pack once again. 2 by 2 we run, and at the back end of the lead lap, we have this little bunch of a couple of cars, actually. Stephen Tuck and Eric Smith. And one car pits, that is Stephen Tuck in the number 10. He'll come down for service, and maybe a couple of updates to that number 10's paint scheme. One car is slow, and it's going to be Patinko. I think he's coming in pitting this lap. He is. There's the number 96 Steelmaster Ford Mustang. He comes in for service. Our leaders, though, now lining up on the bottom, I think have reached that point where they're willing to go ahead and get ready to pit. If not, pit this lap or the next lap. We're right in the middle of the stage. Of course, we're racing to the completion of lap 39, and we are in the fuel window. Maybe the bottom is just faster now. No takers out of that. And there's that second group. We have about 2 packs now working around the racetrack, both in single file formation as everybody is lined up on the bottom, I think getting ready for pit stops that are, of course, impending. As there's the number 88 of Corley. And even the 06 maybe? No, that's a different car. That might be... I think that's Tuck. It is. Well, pit stops definitely are on the way for the race leaders. Not sure exactly when they'll want to pit. But they have run about 23 laps in some cases. A lot of the drivers, well, most drivers, it looks like, came in on that first yellow. But there are still a great number of them that did not take service. And we're expecting up to maybe, I'd say, 26 laps to a tank. Unless these guys are trying to save fuel like the NASCAR Cup guys did on Monday. We had single cars going around faster than the pack because the pack needed to stretch that fuel and get to the end of their fuel number. Here we go. There's Nyman into pit, the 51 car, and he's bringing company. He brings Rakowski in the 33, along with a couple of others. Looks like the 70 of Christopher. Rakowski's going slow, though. He's getting passed up on the outside. There goes the 4 of Cody Neal right on by. He can't wait. And Neal actually has to back into his box as Nyman has a pretty solid execution into the pits. There's Chiseo as well in the 15. First out to be the 93 car as, oh man, Nyman took 4 tires. The race leaders into the pit lane this time by as well. And this will be just about everybody on lap 25. Clean pit stops from the first group for the most part. This bunch, though, coming in, might have a few more mixed results as they work down the pit lane. Here comes our points leader, or not points leader, pole sitter, that's the word I'm looking for, the number 87 car. There goes Bluin out of the pits. And there go our race leaders back on the racetrack, led by Vincent Laraya in the 67. Kyle Purcell, he stays out and kept his line of cars out on the racetrack as well. This is 9 cars that did not pit the last time through. Purcell, Gladgelich, Finnegan, Eldred, Campbell, Purcell, Gunther, Fist, and Dials. And they aren't all pitting this time. Gladgelich comes in the 14. And that's about it out of that group. That was a large group of drivers that just stayed out because they went a couple, well, they pitted at the caution on lap number 3. And so they actually have about 5 laps less used in their fuel tanks. Now, it's still not enough to go to the end of the stage, but they are doing what they can as they try to sort out the lap number 10 of Tuck. They're doing what they can at least to run this fuel stint out. And no takers that time by either. And there goes Stephen Tuck off the nose of the 01, and car 10 gets collected by the 57. Caution is out, lap 28. Oh boy. And just like he was leaving the pits. 15 also involved, that was Teseo. And he is now 2 laps down. I think he had some issues over that pit cycle, and he was not alone, it looks like. Brad Delph out of the race, along with Evan. Well, Evan Patinko's 3 laps down. So caution number 2. And it all starts with the number 10 of Stephen Tuck as he was working through the tri-oval. He's the lapped car in this group. He tries to drop down with Finnegan. Finnegan was down on the door of the 01 car, and that was a big hit for the 57 of Thomas Taylor. Right down onto the pit lane. Kind of a bizarre incident, honestly. Poor Kyle Purcell. Very much innocent bystander. He was the race leader as this happened. That's the other part that I kind of skimmed over. These are the race leaders at the time of incident. Purcell, the number 01 car. And Tuck just kept going down the racetrack. That's the most classic kind of not clear there is. One more view on the way, and this will be from the 6 of Finnegan. He's the car that's pushing Tuck, and yeah, even there, it's an interesting moment, to say the least. In fact, one more view. This is the number 32. Operation Motorsport on the hood. We've worked with them a few times. And this will be a pretty cut and dry pit cycle as well for these guys under caution. Everybody that stayed out will have to pit. And I think even a large number of drivers who had already pitted may pit as well, but they don't have to come in for fuel as, yeah, Eldred just watches the 10 go straight down the racetrack and caution flies. But Vincent Laraya will take over the race lead in the Rolex number 67. And again, a very cut and dry pit cycle. Most of these guys had already pitted very, very recently. Finnegan will try to sort in with the mid portion of the field as he comes off the pit lane. Adam Ball continues to take some service in the pit lane. That is the number 19. Sean Purcell down there as well. He was privy to that accident as it happened. And Thomas Taylor is, I think, done for the day. If we can find Taylor's perspective of that accident. It's already happened there. On board, car 57. In fact, we'll even go to the in-car view inside the helmet. He's following Sean Purcell in the 04. And in the tri-oval, well, maybe a little bit late to the brakes, and that might have been what bit him. But the 10 car right in the middle of the racetrack, and Taylor had nowhere to go. He is still in the pit lane. And I think, there goes the field in the background. I think that's going to be it for the 57 machine. That should be lights out for the iRacing.com pace truck. Mariah will line up behind the pace car. Or pace truck, I suppose. And the view from the iRacing.com pace truck. This is an interesting spot to be in. A lot of cars on... Actually, most of the field, it looks like, came in and topped off on fuel. And just about anybody has a chance at these stage points. We're going to have... Let's see, traditionally we'd be at 10 to go. So we're at 9 to go now. And we'll have 7 laps remaining in stage 1 when we take the green. That 7 laps is plenty of time to go even from 30th or so up to the front if the conditions are right. Now, they often are not, admittedly. This package is not the easiest to pass with, but there's opportunities. The opportunities aplenty. Well, by all means, if you're brand new to Pit Stop TV, once again, we invite you to join us on social media for the journey ahead. But a big thank you to the Icon Cup Series for having us here for this season in 2024. It's only race number 1, but already the beginning of something very, very special. And we had maybe a head start over the winter of 2023. A few races broadcast at the channel back in the winter before the new year. We had, let's see, we had cup cars of all kinds into the dark at Monza. Then we had some legends at the LA Coliseum. Rounded it off with a figure 8 race at Irwindale. But we are back green at Daytona in the Daytona 300. Green flag out for the 67, who's already trying to get to the top side. Laraya with a very, very hopeful move to the top. It did not work out. He will stay down low, and the back road bandits get working on the top side. Ryan Patty in the top 5. We're about to see one heck of a race for stage points in stage number 1. A big move out of Nyman in the back. He goes to the top above Finnegan and the 44 of Clemens. And Lariah is going backwards in that beautiful Rolex machine. The top side, the place to be tonight at Daytona International Speedway. One car up in the middle of the corner, though, and that was the 155. Everybody else stays tucked in nicely. 6 laps to go on the stage. And right now, that top 10 fight, including that of Cody Neal in the number 10 spot, the number 4 car. Zach Lockett down there in the Tennessee Titans, number 93. And Eldred's going to back out of this. He wants no part of it. As we start to go 3 wide even for this stage point fight. Nathan Finnegan trying to drive up in the number 6 car. He gets to 12th before that stalls out in the middle. But he might be onto something here. He's got some help from behind. That's the 06 of Bissonette, at least with him. And they start to stall out and roll to the back, but they are at least in the position of opportunity. 78 of Brian Smith ahead, kind of looked like maybe he wanted to go down there, but he will refrain. Now he drops all the way to the bottom. I believe that was 5 to go on the stage. Nyman goes by, so Finnegan gets in line. He's now 13th. After some changes, and Lariah has gone to point with a whole lot of help from the bottom, including Cody Neal, who was just 10th a lap or so ago. He's now 4th as he noses ahead of the 87, and the bottom has hooked up. Timothy Harper, Cameron Thompson, hello, welcome to the front as Cody Neal goes to the front of the top line. He's getting pushed all around by the 67 of Lariah, but he was second across the stripe, and he's about to get crashed. Go sideways there, 4 to go on the stage. Oh my gosh, these are some big hits. He is getting pushed all around by Lariah. You can tell Vincent's pushing in that 67 car. He's bringing Justin Michael in the 87 as well. The 11, even of Heath Smith. They are really going for it up top. And there goes a move from Lariah. Tries to get covered up by Cody Neal. Neal can't cover it, now 3 wide. The 87 goes to the top side. That's Justin Michael. And quickly they dispatch and discard of car 4. Patty squeezes to the top. Crash! Again. Kevin Gunther. And that just might end stage number 1. If so, Vincent Lariah is your stage winner. And the number 31 car is all kinds of hurt. There again, sit number 31 has definitely found his way to some trouble. Racing back here with Nyman and 51 ahead of him. That's the 93 down low of Zach Lockett. 73 right behind him, I believe, is involved as well. It's Anthony Campbell. There you see the leaders mixing it up. Oh, big checkup there out of the 51 of Nyman. 31 was looking around and just gets right hooked on the 73 of Campbell. Another look. This is on board the 31. The top side stacked up from that move in the tri-oval, and Campbell just comes down and hooks up 31 big time. On board here with Campbell out of the Midwest. Big shot there, goes to the top. I think he was trying to get back in line, but he just comes down and sends a 31 for a ride. Goes for his own kind of ride as well into turn 1. And the Subway 73, I think, might have met his match. He was okay after the crash earlier with Bluin. Vincent Lariah, though, I think will be our stage winner. And the whole group is lining up. I think this will be the stage break, and so these guys will get a chance to go ahead and pit without repercussion. If I had to guess. Lariah into his box. Everybody else going to find their place to pit. There goes the 87, our pole sitter. And he's a bit off getting into his box. That's going to change things up for sure for the 87. A couple of cars leaving. There goes Patty. Michael will still be out first. Heck of a pit stop there by the 87 bunch. And boy, that happened quick. Well, it looks like car 67, at the very least, was the leader at the caution. We'll get clarification from him if he is the stage winner. Vincent Lariah. Vincent, P1 at the caution. It looks like that was also the stage. Is that true?
That was the stage, yes.
Well, then you're our first stage winner of 2024, which comes with nice bonus points to go with it. 10 to your total, so you're also the points leader. How's that feel?
Feels good, man. You know, it was a little bit interesting there. I didn't know if it was going to be a caution fest or not. We kind of had a breakaway pack there for a second too, but you know, kept it grouped up. I pit there early on one of the cautions, so I had a little bit more fuel than everyone else. I was able to take a shorter pit stop, and that gave me the lead after that caution. So it was good.
It certainly looks like a lot of this field is content getting up and running single file, at least at times. So that means when you guys are packed up, everybody gets that much more crazy, gets that much more aggressive. What's it been like from behind the wheel?
Yeah, no, it's been good. I mean, I've been, you know, running up near the top, or, you know, top front of the field here. So I've been kind of favoring that top line for now. It seems like when that top line gets organized, it's, you know, definitely the place you want to be. But as far as the crazy moves, I only made, you know, 1 or 2 moves there at the end, but I'm going to try to keep the crazy moves to about lap 118. So we'll see if I can just survive to the end here.
And how's this 60% thing working out? 60% race length, a little bit longer than a lot of NASCAR leagues. 60% race fuel. Any differences there to what you usually run?
Yeah, well, so the fuel is definitely the big thing for me. You know, it's a full tank of fuel here only gets you about, you know, 25, 26 laps. So, you know, there's definitely going to be a huge part of this that's pit stops. I know one of my teammates got a speeding, a couple other guys I saw speeding down pit road. So I think, you know, that may play a factor here. And, you know, the race length, we'll see who has, you know, some of that additional stamina to make it to the end.
And remind me here, Vincent, still getting used to everybody. Which Discord channel are you in?
So I'm in KU Motorsports. So got my guys Anthony and Cody, team KU here. So we're happy to, you know, be putting out a strong start here to the season, getting the first stage win.
Well, Vincent, congratulations to the stage win. Hopefully we're talking to you at the end of 120 here.
All right, thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Vincent Lariah gets the stage win. He'll restart in the 9th position, it looks like. And sounds like Cody Neal, one of his teammates, along with Anthony Zaseo in the 15 car. So 4:15:67. Got to keep that in mind as Justin, Michael, and Ryan Patty will bring us to the beginning of stage number 2. And interestingly enough, this will be the end, technically the end, of the stage 1 distance when we take the stripe and take the green flag once again, which means we'll have a perfect 39 laps to run in stage 2, which is a lot different compared to what it would have been. Really, 34 green flag laps. A whole lot is changing here in this Daytona 300. Stage 1 complete. Stage 2 is underway. And nobody wants to work with the 78 on this first lap. He gets in line. Now the 95 is trapped down low. Charles Widener. He gets passed up by everybody in line. Even Lariah got passed up by a bunch. He dropped down to the 11th spot. And there goes the 95. And now a few cars jump down low. The 06 of Bissonette. How about the 7 of Thompson? They get something going now on the bottom as we look to complete lap number 40 when we get back around to the stripe. The one constant is the stranglehold that these two up front seem to have on the top side of the racetrack. Justin, Michael, Heath Smith they lead lap number 40, and I say both of them because Heath Smith should be credited with a lot of these laps led by the 87 car this evening. So far, you're looking at 22 by that Toyota Camry, and as the bottom side surges, watch that top, watch that pair on the top side, and watch the run they get. Admittedly, a bit of less of a run that time down the backstretch. The bottom really got moving. And so the 06 of Bissonette stays clear along with Thompson. The first side-by-side now are the Michaels. From the front row, Justin Michael up top, Michael Christopher down low. And Bissonette grabs himself a lap lead. And there goes one on the top side, Timothy Harper. He's going to try and jump up and lead that line, and I think traditionally that would be the place to go. But when we get these SARG Super Speedway broadcasts on Wednesday evenings, the top side seems to be the place to go for opportunity, right? You get to cycle around almost like, well, I guess a life cycle as the 7 of Thompson jumps up, and you'll see the top side pretty much get somebody to the lead, they move down, and the cycle begins again. Somebody gets to the lead and they move down. And that's just not how this race has gone. It's either the top side is the strongest, or the top side falls way, way back for a couple of laps until guys like the 7 of Thompson and the 12 of Harper jump up there, and this is a totally new game now. Those two leading this line, they start to drive away a little bit from that bottom side. Or, well, maybe they get free, and now the 12 gets stuck in the middle. Harper got the 7 all kinds of jacked up, and will pay the price. Nice shot there, though, from Justin Michael to the 7 of Cameron Thompson. That gets that line going once again. Everybody, though, checking up, paying the price for it in the mid-pack. A whole lot of crazy. And as we work lap 43, now 44, only 3 cars have called it a day thus far. Actually, 2 have left. Those are Mike Jennings, 33 laps down, and Brad Delph, 72 down. Or not 72, car 72, but 18 down. Thomas Taylor is 9 laps down, still in the pit lane, but he has not disconnected. It's just likely that he doesn't get back in this race for a little while longer. You see a couple of packs already. You have your leaders, then kind of a separation back to pack number 2, and then pack 3 way in the back there, as we're 3 wide for 10th. And that gap closed quickly. Cody Neal dropped down. He gets helped out by the 78 of Smith. And they're all over the place trying to find where they want to get in line. Neal almost looking to the middle. He'll drop low. On board with Brian Smith, car 78. He's been up and down through the field so far this evening. As low as 23rd. As high now as 4th, and he's running in 11th position. With maybe some opportunity ahead if these guys can kind of sort themselves out, a little bit of bumping and banging on the top side of the racetrack, but they get going, and the bottom, of course, has the advantage now. Ryan Patty, the race leader, as we round the 4th corner. He's got help from Milfelt and from Lorayo. Welcome back to the group. Car 67, Bissonette's there. And Thompson gets a heck of a shove from the 87 of Michael. It seems like so far in this race, the X factor is the 87 of Justin Michael. He's able to both lead very well and rely on his pusher in Heath Smith, and push very well. Look at him shove the 7 to a lead. Launches Thompson back out in front of Ryan Patty those last couple of straightaways. Here comes the 30 car, though, to line back up and try to race him to the stripe. And it looks like for sure the 30 car is going to lead this lap. Lap 46, Ryan Patty. Milfelt Jr., a part-time driver, it looks like, by, well, actually, he might not be. I think he's a full-timer, and he's going to go to the top side now, down the backstretch, and jump ahead of Thompson. I believe he'll be full-time. Oh, Thompson got free from shoving the 155. Yeah, these cars are on edge. Oh, all over the place. Millfelt, and they're going to check up top. That's what caused the last big crash, and there are effects way back. Michael got the fence, and a couple of other cars stacked. That was Charles Widener in the back, along with the 51 of Nyman, the 78 of Smith. A whole lot of checking up and a whole lot of scary for those guys as they worked through the tri-oval that time. And now the top side has all but fell out of this lead race, at least for the time being. That's going to change, though. One car to the top side, Michael Christopher, as Brian Smith makes an edgy move down low. And Christopher is going to drop back. Ryan Patty then will continue to lead. Vincent Loriah second. Cody Neal has looked a little bit aggressive. He's running in the 4th spot. Managing what he's got ahead of him with Bissonette. He's just ahead there of Clemens, and he's leaning a little bit higher up the racetrack right now. I don't know if that's for airflow, or if maybe that's to make sure he's that much closer to the top side when they get there. Try and jump in line and go a little further forward. Now, these guys' teammate is the 51 of Anthony Tiseo, who is 3 laps down. And Tiseo's back here on his own. From all indications, it looks like car 15 had an issue under the pit cycle. He's mired back in 33rd spot. Only a few cars behind him. When we covered these guys over the winter of 2023, there were only a few that it seemed run, well, and now it seems, are in this Cup Series. There were only a few drivers that ran both the Winter Series and this Cup Series. One of those was Adam Ball. And car 19 was always somebody fun to watch. So far, though, a bit of a non-factor in this race, only as high as 9th position, as low as 31st, there we go, after starting 12th. He's been all over. He's been a little towards the front. I mean, 9th place, that's getting up there. He's also been towards the back, 31st, not where you want to be. And as he runs in this 13th position, looking to move forward maybe here in stage number 2, we'll keep tabs on driver 19 and some other drivers. Some other drivers that were in that group of guys who ran over the winter also include the 78 of Brian Smith. Well, I think he ran one of the races that we weren't there for. I know he was in all of that, and I think he is the reigning champion, if memory serves me correctly. But also Nathan Finnegan ran a bunch, and I think he might have been the Winter Series champion, going for, I believe, free entry. And the University of Rhode Island student is working in the 18th spot as we run here on lap 52. So just a few highlights throughout the field. There were some other drivers as well. Robert Dials, who's back here, unfortunately, in 25th. He was in that winter bunch. Kyle Corley is another driver that I recall distinctly in the number 88 car. Hard to miss that bright green and red 88 as he runs 29th. Up front, Ryan Patty has brought that lead bunch to the top of the racetrack, and they now quietly run in line. Patty, the race leader. Loriah second. And hello, bottom side. Bissonette's got to run as they come up on Tiseo. This is going to complicate things a little bit. And sure enough, Tiseo is going to stay on the racetrack, and this will get a little bit complicated for the guys down low. Tiseo holds a pretty wheel. And now that disturbance of the pack leads to Michael Christopher dropping down, and Lariah is going to go with him. He leaves his teammate, though, Cody Neal, and leaves the 30 and the 4 each scrambling for what they can do down into turn 1. And lap 54 brings on a whole bunch of change for this pack. Here comes Justin Michael back towards the front. He runs in 4th, and again, this pack changes. They move back to the top side. Milfelt got the memo. The 70 of Christopher did not, and now Lariah is going to be usurped. Milfelt going to take the race lead, and Michael comes along with, as we've got cars scattering and crashing. Bissonette is one of them. Heath Smith is another, and we will stay green again. But the 11 and the 06 clearly had it coming together, and Heath Smith is on the apron. A look back, you're watching the black and red 11 and that bright yellow 06. What happens here? Does somebody from the top side maybe punch them out? Oh, Bissonette just got the 11 free. Wow, smacks the 30 of Patty. No iRacing caution, no admin caution, and Ryan Patty is going to be hurting from that. Great job by Smith and Bissonette both to keep it straight after all of that. And let's watch an onboard here. With the 30 car of Patty. He goes into turn 1, having recently lost the lead. Araya went by going low. And out of turn 2, everything breaks loose. Big run there from the 87 and 115. And Bissonette's going to hook Heath Smith. Pow! What a hit. And for that New Englander, shot heard around the world might have a new meaning. That was a big one. Your top 4, though, have broken away. That's Milfelt, Michael, Lariah, and Christopher. Cody Neal on the 4 car is the next one up. Now, he should be scored, per what we saw at least in the driver sheet, should be scored as the 56 car. But admittedly, when we put these graphics together, I'll admit fault here. It has been a long week. And, you know, got a 1-year-old. He's teething. A lot going on the real life side of things away from the broadcast. Starting a new job, getting a lot more hours there. A tired broadcast producer takes a look at the spreadsheet that Ryan Patty sent and didn't notice that it was the old driver list. So, admittedly, some of these are maybe going to be off. We're missing a few, but we will get this sorted. I say I will fix my errors by Las Vegas next week. But hey, that's what warming up is all about. Now, the second group, this extends through Cameron Thompson back in the 12th position. Adam Ball leads our third pack. And that includes Ryan Patty, who's able to hold up with the draft and stay with this group. He runs in the 17th position. Sean Purcell tags on the back end in the 19th spot. Kyle Purcell has just Luke Rakowski to help. Hanover Fist, Justin Bissonette, Robert Dials, and Tanner Dio, along with a couple of lap cars, including Anthony Campbell. He's on the lead lap, though. Heath Smith is back here with Kyle Corley, Cody Eldred, and a couple of others. And that's about your whole field. As there goes Tuck into the pit lane. He runs 35th, 4 laps down. Pit stops are looming, and the pit window has opened. These drivers just have to get to the end of lap 78. That is now within 20 laps. And very much within range for these drivers to go ahead and pit now or pit whenever they would like. And make it to the end on fuel. At least the end of the stage. And stage 3 will be very, very similar. It's a little bit longer than the NASCAR Cup Series. They run 60, 60, and 70 or 80 maybe. No, 65, 65, and 70, I believe. A little different. That last stage is a little bit longer, but they are very, very even stages nonetheless here. 39, 39, 42. So for the most part, it's kind of rinse repeat. We know that these guys are going to be close to pitting right around now as we work the halfway lap. These drivers have been on the racetrack now for 22 laps and leading us to the stripe to complete the first half of this race. Cross flags, Michael Milfelt Jr., race leader. And if you're just joining us, only 2 cars are truly out of this race. One more is currently off the racetrack. That is the 57 of Thomas Taylor. And a couple of cars rid of the pit lane. Anthony Campbell's one of them. Tanner Dio is another. And Brock Hersley comes in the Woolly Pig Farm Brewery 24 car. He goes up on the jacks for service. He's going for 4. Not recommended. He'll be on his own now. He's already a lap down, and unfortunately, this 24 car that was so promising in qualifying, is more or less out of the race. And for Cody Neal, if we go on board here, the gap ahead is really not diminishing. 3.3 seconds up to Michael Christopher. I feel like that gap has grown in the last handful of laps. This second group is going nowhere. They say that, and they pull a couple of tenths in the backstretch, and hello, the 78 of Brian Smith decided, nope, I'm going to push. He got going quick. Pit stops here. Cody Neal leads us in, and he'll bring Brian Smith along with the 44 of Joshua Clemens, the 51 of Daniel Nyman, even the 93 and the 12. So Cody Neal comes in for service. Include Nyman there in the 51. How about the 12 of Harper right in the foreground there as we phase through the iRacing.com pace truck just a little bit. But there goes the 4. Right back onto the racetrack. Quick pit stop there for Neal. Unfortunately, that quick pit stop will be undermined by the slower stop for Brian Smith. Like these guys took 2 and got back out, as opposed to Neal taking fuel only. And here's your leaders. Our leaders in for service. They work down the pit lane. Oh, that was close for Lariah in the 67. He'll work into his box. This is a little bit of what it's like behind the wheel for these guys through the pit stop. Araya up on the jacks on the right side. That should be it. He should be down and away here in just a moment, unless he picked up no penalty. But he will roll along with everybody else in that group. Ryan Patty, though, notably not with them. Or rather, Milfelt. Or Christopher? I got completely confused. Patty, of course, was in that accident that didn't bring out a caution. Christopher was the car I thought was lost, but he's here. And he'll go back up onto the racetrack. And Cody Neal. Wow, this group. The lead pack got sorted right back together. Cody Neal, though, is on his own to the tune of a second still, back to Brian Smith and Cameron Thompson. They'll be able to catch him and likely pass him. Charles Widener and Zach Lockett get together, and everybody is in some kind of new situation, as this is our largest pack on the racetrack. Working through turn 4 now, and sure enough, Thompson and Smith go right by Neal, and he tries to get in line. They're going to try and get rid of him. Christopher goes to the top side, and he will let... Oh, wow. He's having a problem. Unsure what the issue was, but Christopher hit the outside wall there, and he, I think, will lose the draft to these top 3. or he'll just hang on to it and be able to slowly work back up. The problem now is he's getting closer and closer to Brian Smith. I don't think the draft is going to help that 78 that far back, although sure enough, the 70 is going to fall back out of the draft, and Smith will catch that 70 car and likely move right on by, as this group has been getting a little bit racy. A couple of Purcells, Sean and Kyle Purcell, 0401. They've got Daniel Nyman, Jacob Gladulich, Adam Ball, and some others. Here we go, a couple of lap cars down low. That's the 96. Evan Patinko getting passed up along with Steven Tuck in the 10. And on Wednesday nights, we have a Super Speedway series, the Sim Auto Racing Group, SunWest Construction's Super Speedway series. When they go to any racetrack other than, really, Atlanta, is the only track where it hasn't been just a bunch of hurry up and wait. We get a lot of this hurry up and wait kind of racing, as now Clemens gets sorted out in this larger group. This is one of those situations where I can only say so many things. I can only talk so much. Quite frankly, we just have to hurry up and wait. There goes 24. Unfortunate day for Brock Hersey. He now goes back 2 laps down. And the Woolly Pig Chevrolet just has not had the day he's needed. I'm not sure how he lost the draft in the first place. I didn't think he was in any of our crashes. But the 24 car has been a big non-factor. He's only been as high as his starting position. Was a little bit promising there for a moment in qualifying, and since then it's been a bed of irrelevance for car 24, unfortunately. Great paint scheme, though. Love the sponsor. That is the most unique sponsor I think I've ever seen on a race car. Meanwhile, we have a second pack that is for, I say a second pack, a second group that Cody Neal has tagged along with. That's Brian Smith, Cody Neal, Cameron Thompson. Michael Christopher, though, is still very much off pace. He has been absolutely dropped out by the packs ahead. We'll see if he can grab on with this group. This is going to be Charles Widener and Zach Lockett to pass him. And his saving grace might be the 2 cars directly behind, actually, that are a couple of lap cars. The 96, I believe, and 10. On board with Crester, his car is just slow. He's in the draft. He's just pushing 190. He might be able to tag on with these guys. And truthfully, Lockett might have throttled back to try and help him out. This would just keep him in the top 10. He's running 9th. That's a couple of stage points at least. He'll take it, I'm sure, if he can get it. But he continues to fall back. Well, I think he's going to get in line. I think this group, this pair, is going to be able to hold up and bring him back in, and this will save him from falling back to Sean and Kyle Purcell, who are 5.5 seconds behind the 70 car. And this bunch might get a little bit antsy here when we get down to the last lap of the stage on lap 78, because there is just one position in their group that is 4 points as Lariah gets sorted behind the 87 and 155. And Millfelt did a great job of getting Justin Michael way out there. These three nearly became these two as they almost drove away from the 67, but now Lariah has a run and he will bring it right behind the 155. Again, though, this is the group that I think is going to get interesting. I'm sure the two Purcells will play nice, and that might work to their benefit. But I also know that, assuming they're siblings have rivalries. I would very much expect one of them, at least, to make a decision here towards the end of the stage. Maybe not before the exit of turn 4, but I think maybe at the exit of turn 4, maybe go to the outside and make a move if I'm Kyle Purcell. Oh, these guys have a lot of cars in line. I mean, it's Sean and Kyle Purcell leading the lane. Then Daniel Nyman in the 12th spot. Third in line, though, along with Jacob Gladulage, Adam Ball, Timothy Harper, Joshua Clemens, and Kevin Gunther, who I thought was out of this race a little while ago with that head-on impact. Behind this bunch, you've also got Nathan Finnegan, Luke Rakowski, Ryan Patty, Justin Bissonette, James and Haviland. Keith Smith, by the way, in case you're curious, from the Backroad Bandits, he's still in this race. He is still on the lead lap, although only by about 6 seconds. He's back here with Teseo, with Bluen, with Eldred, with Dio, with Campbell. And this is the largest group on the racetrack right now, actually, and they're getting a little bit squirrely. Robert Dials will go by hand over fist. He's going to bring the 15 of Teseo, who's a lap down. Who's actually 4 laps down. Up front, no change. Michael continues to lead. Millfelt Jr. in the 2nd spot. Lariah there in 3rd, and they continue to actually gap 4th, 5th, and 6th. Smith, Thompson, and Neal. And Christopher is hanging back ever so slightly. They have picked up Kyle Corley, who was a lap down. He is actually the first car 1 lap down. They also have picked up that 24 car. So Brock Hersey at least won't continue to drop. He'll just hang on to the back end. And a rare Daytona opportunity, I think, stands ahead of Vincent Lariah here. Driver out of Michigan. When we drive by the flag stand this time by, it'll be 2 laps to go in stage 1. Importantly, for Lariah, he's only working against 2 other cars here. If he was working against 3 or more, it'd be a little more difficult. But if he can bait the 155, he just might be able to pass both of these cars and try to go for the stage win. Otherwise, I don't think we're going to have a stage sweep this evening. And truthfully, he may be content to ride and collect the 8 stage points for finishing 3rd on the stage. Although as these guys catch that group ahead, who knows? They might just get close enough to use a little bit of draft. Justin Michael Millfelt Jr., of course, they would like 10 stage points and a playoff point to go with it for winning the stage. 1 lap to go in stage 2. Lariah jumps up high. He's going to side draft the 155 back and create a bit of a gap. And Michael, I think, will hold right down low. This isn't a case where he has to move around and block Lariah much, because, of course, Lariah has no other help. And Lariah is going to fall right on back. It's really up to the 155 if he wants to fight. Or rather, the 87. And he will move ahead of Lariah there in the top lane. We will have a drag race to the line. For stage number 2, Vincent Larian nearly gets it. He gets shoved out of the way, and Justin Michael will hang on to the stage 2 win, as the top 10 doesn't even get to the stripe. But Kyle Purcell stays behind Sean Purcell, and Sean will take the final top 10 position at the stage and take the final stage point. Well, 78 laps complete, 2 different stage winners. Justin Michael wins stage number 2, Vincent Larian second, and this will work us about 5 laps deep into stage 3, just like we thought we would have in stage 1, or stage 2 rather. Let's see, Justin Michael out of Backroad Bandits will grab driver 87 quickly, and Justin, a stage win is always welcome in race number 1 to get things going. 38 laps led, that's a full stage in itself. How did you hold the 67 back at the stripe?
Well, I thought the stage was one more lap, so I was actually trying to get Michael back up to second there, and it just worked out. I mean, he can get past the second guy, but it's hard to get past the leader if you're by yourself.
And clearly a whole lot of working together with the 155. He's kind of the odd man out, it seems like, as far as liveries, but the work definitely lines up. How much has it helped to have Heath in this race as well? In the 11, it seems like you guys have controlled the top side when we're packed up.
Yeah, definitely. It's always good to have teammates here. Definitely ripping the high side. It's the way to go if you're in a pack. We also have Charlie out there too. I forget what his number is, but he's been having some bad luck, so hopefully we get him up here and we can break away and get a 1 through 4 finish.
Well, Justin, best of luck to you. Hopefully we're talking to you at the end of 120.
Thanks, guys.
And Justin Michael, of course, from Backroad Bandits, will move him back down to his teammates. 38 laps led, that'll be 39 here at the stripe. Really a solid day so far. That's a full stage in and of itself, and I think a few more certainly are heading his way. Everybody in, though, to their pit boxes. This will be a 4-tire fuel stop, I think, for the entire field, which will set them all up for one more stop for fuel only. Eldred straight through the pits. I think he's trying to jump, maybe, this field and go to the front. Michael Christopher actually will do exactly that. It looks like he pitted as the stage ended, maybe. And he will take over the race lead. I don't see Michael Christopher in a Discord channel for his team. So I guess, Michael, if you go back and watch this, we would have talked to you here about your strategy maybe to, well, I say he was going to be first. Like, he will be cycled back. I think he might have pitted before pits had opened. Which means it'll be Justin Michael, Vincent Larian, Michael Milfelt Jr., just the order they finished the stage. In the meantime, we can grab Kyle Purcell, or rather Sean Purcell, who took the final position in the top 10 for a stage point. And Sean, you came across the line to complete stage number 2 in that 10th spot, which is decently important. That 1 point, I think, will make a difference at some point in this season. But how do you go from being a part of that back group to hopefully trying to work to the front end of the top 10?
Well, I mean, just got to stay with the lead pack this time. Can't get broken up by the silly stuff. Me and my teammate Kyle, we were kind of just chilling back there for most of the race, but this last stage, we can't count on a caution to get back caught up. So, just try to stay up front and hope we don't die.
And that's sometimes easier said than done. Of course, there's been a lot of aggression when you guys are packed up, a lot of single file racing tonight, so kind of just furthering that aggression. But how do you try to mitigate that, especially around these pit stops? That seems to be, of course, what strings all of you guys out. How do you take advantage of the aggression, not let it get the best of you, and not get sorted out in the pits?
Well, I practiced my pitting a bit before the race. I've got a really early pit box on pit road, so I'm able to get in there pretty quick. As long as I don't make a mistake, I should be good. It's just hoping the people I'm pitting with can keep up.
And of course, teammate restarts, talked about pretty often at tracks like this. Not exactly able to do that mid-pack, but are you going to try to here with Kyle?
We're going to try to stay grouped up, but at this point in the race, we're just going to both try to stay as far up as we can. You know, we prefer the inside line when we can. It's a little bit easier to escape if there's a wreck, but at the end of the day, we just got to be up front. If the best way to avoid a wreck is be in front of it, so that's the plan.
Well, Sean, good to talk to you. Best of luck.
Thank you.
And Sean Purcell, car number 04, of course, working with his family member, I'm going to say brother, Kyle Purcell down low. We'll see what these guys can do. Sean will restart 10th, just like he finished the stage. Meanwhile, Vincent Lariah will lead the top lane and is for a moment technically leading, but it'll be Justin Michael who officially brings us to the beginning of stage number 3. Once again, if you're brand new to Pit Stop TV, first of all, welcome. Thanks for watching this evening. We hope to have Zach Murtis in the booth for many of these races this season moving forward in 2024, but in the meantime, follow along with us on social media. Into the Geico Restart Zone, and we are back green in the Icon Daytona 300. And I'm not sure just how aware Vincent Lariah is of team alignments, but he gets up just between the 155 and the 95, who are teammates. Milfelt Jr., of course, has his teammate that he's pushing, and he's got his teammate in the 95 of Charlie Widener just behind the 67 now. Really good work there by Lariah to split those three up, otherwise they might be able to control this race outright. And now you see Widener getting down low, looking around a little bit. He jumps back ahead of the 78 of Brian Smith, and to the stripe, it's Michael at the line. So stage 3 underway. That was 37 laps to go. All single file out front, and that's going to have to change here soon. Cody Neal, he already wants to change it. He's down low in that 4 car. No help, though, until you get to Gladulich, and they are running right about 15th now. That means more than 10 cars are packed up on the top side running single file, and that is just an oddity still to me. As somebody who's been on iRacing since mid-2016, to see a group of cars run single file at the front of Daytona, that is absurd, as we've got a crash in the back. They just keep it together and keep this race green. But that was most certainly a crash, and if NASCAR were calling the race, I think that'd be a caution. Campbell got out of line, got shoved around a little bit. Good saves all around. Take a look back. Yeah, if this was NASCAR, they would have had to throw the caution. That was pretty dangerous for a moment. Nyman, the red 51, he's part of this. They just check up top. That long line is part of it. Dials got checked up. Campbell, Nyman, and got all over the fence there in turn 1. Justin Michael continues to lead. And so little, wow. Look at that. So little has changed in this race since the drop of the green to begin. Stage number 3. Everybody is just lined up single file. This is still... It's realistic and rewarding to see. It's just so bizarre to me. Been on this sim a long time. But we are officially racing under the lights now at Daytona International Speedway. The sun has gone down, and if we take a look at weather conditions now, that track temp is coming down as well, of course. 77 degrees, as Anthony Tasea will bring himself back onto the racetrack. You see just how spread out this group has gotten. 27 cars on the lead lap. That runs back to the 88 of Kyle Corley, who runs with Ryan Patty. And a few other lap cars back here. Stephen Tuck, one of them. We've got some racing, it looks like, mid-pack. Adam Ball going to lead the charge down low. That's with Justin Bissonette in the Corvette Racing 06. A little nod to Corvette's earlier days in the early 2000s. And there we go. The Backroad Bandits move down low. They're going to bring Brian Smith, and they will dispatch the 70 or 67 rather, and send him packing. Lariah at the disadvantage. Team numbers worked together there and brought everybody down low. Now he gets in line. Oh, hello! Maybe a crash. That was a big hit. And crash! Oh my! 3 cars hard in the outside wall. Kyle Purcell, one of them, and they come flying in from behind. And it got a whole lot worse. It's still getting worse. Finnegan in it. Oh, the 25 spins off the banking all by himself. And it all started, not necessarily by the 73 of Campbell, but with the 73 of Campbell. Seems like he has been a magnet. And that's going to start, actually, because of the 67 of Lariah, your stage 1 winner. I think a little bit panicked to get back in line, keep his race together. He's going to drop down here in a second and tip the 73 right here. Tips Campbell in a 73. He gets in the wall hard. Oh, actually, he came down the racetrack and got Thompson. Goes in the wall himself. And Kyle Purcell ends up tipping the 11 of Heath Smith. And I don't know where a couple of those guys were going. Finnegan, by the way, just misses making some contact. And, well, there goes the 25 for that spin again. That was James and Haviland. We'll go on board car number 01 to begin this replay. Kyle Purcell. That's where it all starts. He ends up driving down to the 11. And then here comes Luke Rakowski. Now, I love Days of Thunder just as much as the next guy. But if you want a perfect example of what not to do, that would be to drive through it, Cole. And that's what Luke tried to do here. And Luke, we love you, buddy. He's going to come from a ways back. He's back here with Gladjulich, and they're in their own group. There's no need for a car this far back to be involved in that crash. So Gladjulich, he stayed in the gas for a while, and I just made it so much worse for the 01, who also got collected by a couple other cars. I think that was Hanover Fist. Yep, sure was. He ended up center punching the 01 in one of his later spins. But this all has strung out our field a little bit more, and this puts everybody right on the cusp of making it. I think we're going to have a very quiet caution while everybody tries to save fuel. And a few extra cars, I think, will be out of this race. There's Taylor still in the pit lane. Heath Smith, destroyed. He had a tow. Kyle Purcell, same story. Brock Hersey's actually going to use this caution maybe to get back into things. Who knows? Eric Smith, he got a lot, it looks like. This has been in the pit lane for a little while. And Anthony Campbell. He's back there with, it looks like, Cameron Thompson. As far as teammates, Cameron Thompson and Timothy Harper. Let's dial up the 73 car and see what happened from his perspective. Anthony, not going so well in these last few moments, it looks like, of the race. What happened from your perspective in that caution?
Well, I was trying to stay in the draft because I had a little bit of rear end damage from smacking the wall a few laps before. So I was trying to stay in the draft, and next thing I know, I'm taking it on the side and the wall. So I'm not really sure what happened.
Is there any hope for you to get back in the race?
I'm trying to take as much of this damage off as I can, and hopefully I can get back into it.
Well, Anthony, best of luck to you. Hopefully you get back out here with us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Anthony Campbell, suddenly in a pretty negative situation as the field goes by. The iRacing.com pace truck has turned its lights off. So while this final lap of caution takes place, let's take a look again at what is upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV. There's a lot. Tuesday evening, February 27th, it's out to Southern National Motorsports Park. 2 broadcasts in a row, 2 races in a row for us. Will happen on the high banks in Kenly/Lucama, North Carolina. First, it's street stocks for Lucky Motorsports Bunch, and then super late models for the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. Sunday, we head out to Las Vegas with the Icon Cup Series. Make sure to tune in for race number 2 next week as we go for 160 laps in virtual Sin City. Now, beyond all of that, let's take a look at what's upcoming for the entire season. You get that social graphic out of the way. This is the full season. Take a screenshot, maybe get used to seeing this graphic, though. You'll see it a lot over the course of 2024 and these Sundays that will be live. That will do it for this caution, as the iRacing.com pace vehicle allows us to get back to it. Stage number 3 back underway. And again, we might just be within the limit of fuel as these guys dance around at the front. Green flag is back out, which means teams are trying to find themselves all over again. On the ticker, you'll see everybody's number of laps led so far in this race. Take a look. Ryan Smith, just 2. He's your current leader as we get this race back under green. Justin Michaels led 48 laps, by far the most, and very possibly the most that we'll see anybody lead this evening. So props there to car 87 as he pushes the 78 across the stripe, lead his 3rd lap. Cameron Thompson with a couple of laps led as well. And hello, Adam Ball up front. The 19 has been a non-factor, but suddenly, within 30 laps to go, he decided, yep, it's go time. And he has raced up with the help of Kevin Gunther in that 31, who I thought was out of this race a while ago. And here goes Adam Ball to the top side of the run. He tries to go somewhere with it. Smith thought about blocking and will stay down. And they keep racing now down the short chute towards the start-finish line, and this will be a lap led for car 19. Adam Ball, leader at the stripe. On board with Smith now. He's going to go top side. The 78 wants to get back out front. Door to door with Adam Ball down the backstretch, and just no help at first for the 87, or 78 rather. He now gets it in the form of Kevin Gunther in the 31 car. Thompson there as well in tow. On board with the near against it, number 31 car. Adam Ball lead another. "26 laps to go, and I think these drivers might just have to make a fuel stop again. Again, it'll be close, and If I was on the racetrack currently, obviously I'm not. These guys have the wheel for a reason. Maybe it's closer for them, but if I was on the racetrack, I'd be throttling back, trying to save everything I can. Or even if we get a caution, I can stay out maybe and stretch it. A little more hurry up and wait action, where the field is kind of strung out a little bit. We have a little bit of side-by-side racing back here. Gunther gets in line, makes her top 10 single file. Bissonette and Harper is your first side-by-side for the 11th spot. And they've got Sean Purcell in that bunch. Gladulich, looks like the 44 of Clemens. Kyle Corley is back in this race. He's 16th. And Anthony Campbell, it looks like, is done for the day. By the way, hats off to these guys that have stayed in this race despite their levels of damage. Evan Patinko is one of them. Really cool to see these guys staying in the race, trying to salvage what they can. And for example, Patinko just passed Anthony Campbell. There aren't many more that he can pass. In fact, everybody ahead of him is on the racetrack at the moment. But he just grabbed a spot. Stephen Tuck behind him has one more car to pass. It'll be Anthony Campbell this next time around. While Kyle Purcell, Heath Smith, and Thomas Taylor are in the session but out of the race. And even Robert Bluen in this 99 car, he has stayed with it since the first caution of the race. And, oh, hold on. I want to know how this 33 car is doing this. He's got Vincent Laraya behind him. I don't know what happened to Laraya at the restart. Wow. That's bizarre. A whole lot of cars. Looks like the ants going marching in, maybe. Everybody in a line. And the interesting idea maybe for some drivers is you maybe, if you know you have to pit, do you maybe pit early? Just to have it out of the way. I don't think for anybody but maybe the leaders that's a reasonable option. I think they'll lose a lap otherwise. I don't know why else they'd be single file on the bottom like this though. This is certainly a situation I didn't expect on lap 99 of 120. Another jet lands there on the backstretch, and I think this is the most anticlimactic. You know, this is a 100-lap race. We're coming up to the white flag this time, and everybody is strung out. They always have their own agenda that they're working on right now, and my guess would be fuel. My guess would be fuel. Go back to the Whiplash SimCam's race details. 5 sets of tires, that's not a concern. But when you look next to no fast repair, 60% fuel, 60% race lengths. I mean, that's right on the edge. These cars usually get about 40 laps to the tank. At least here at Daytona. So if I pop on over to my phone calculator, I take 40. I multiply it by 0.6. Well, pit stops, because that gets you 24. So these guys are just within the pit window. And, well, that was a pleasant surprise. The pit conversation takes care of itself. Oh, man. It had to be impending, right? And yeah, they can see about 24 laps. I'd say maybe you could go 25 or 26, but these guys were not going to make it to the end. Fuel only for your race leaders. There goes Michael back onto the racetrack along with everybody else he brought in. I mean, Milfett, you've actually got Thompson leading them onto the racetrack ahead of Michael, Milfelt, and Widener. And here come your race leaders back around. Any takers this lap? No. You don't have to pit yet. And that's what I was wondering, maybe if some of these drivers would pit early. I'm surprised. I really am surprised they just went ahead and pitted that early. At the same time, it sets them up now. If there's a caution, if they're able to stay on the lead lap, which they have, if there's a caution, they can stay out. These leaders cannot. Some racing back here, a couple of lap cars moving around. That's Michael Christopher getting back in line. 96, though, getting passed up. The 69 of Hanover Fist goes up top to help him. And Finnegan finally gets to the front of the field. He's second. He's had a rough day. Funny enough, he started third. Everything since then has been a wash for the 6 car, but he's in line now. He's looking around. A couple of lap cars here that are getting passed up. There goes one of them, the 79, Eric Smith. And he'll go 4 laps down, it looks like. There's the 12 of Harper getting passed up, who is now 1 lap down. We see some leaders pit this time, and ooh, that was close, but no. So my best analyst job would be to say that these 4 will be your race leader once we cycle out. Cameron Thompson, Justin Michael, Michael Milfelt Jr., and Charles Widener. They'll be able to run the most unimpeded, if that makes any sense, the most consistently. As now the 7 gets shot up, I think that maybe is a change to help the 87 not blow up. Thompson, though, teammates with Harper. It'll be tough to say if he'll get any grace from these other 3. They've yapped him already by about 6, almost 7/10, and they might leave him entirely, actually. They have really put some time in between them. Sure enough, Cameron Thompson has lost that draft. Which now means we've got 3 cars that are set to cycle around to the race lead when this pit cycle is over. We're all teammates. That's going to take a lot. It's going to take perfect execution on the pit lane in order to beat that. Well then, a line of 7 cars are set up. Cody Neal, Nathan Finnegan, Kevin Gunther, Justin Bissonette, Zach Lockett, Jacob Gladulich, who a while ago was in the wall and just about crashed out of this race with no caution in sight. He lines up with Timothy Harper right behind and Adam Ball, a part of this group as well. And Ball just got up there and got 8 laps led before this pack fell apart with a few headed to the pit lane. And those 3 were not the only ones to pit, by the way. We also had, let's see, about another 4 or 5 car group. Thompson, by the way, getting passed up, chewed up, and spit out again. But Sean Purcell, Brian Smith, and Joshua Clemens also pitted on that same lap, along with Harper, but he quickly lost the draft and has fallen a lap down. Meanwhile, a midfield group is going to be Cody Eldred through Kyle Corley. Actually, Ryan Patty going to lead the charge here. And as we near up on 10 laps to go, just 3 of these drivers are in the top 10. And of course, it's not the same urgency as there was earlier when that top 10 would be for stage points, but I think you'll still see those guys get a little bit antsy here as the laps wear on. And I think so true will they be antsy, or so too will they be antsy in this group. If we get a caution. if we get a caution, this group would restart 8th. Whoever leads this charge out would, I think, restart 8th. Question is, can they get the caution? Or even when they pit under green, will they be able to cycle out ahead? Or even near, maybe in line with those back road bandits drivers? And frankly, we don't know. We haven't seen a lot of green flag pit stops. We had one cycle earlier, I think. Maybe 2, but we really haven't seen who's going to be best. A lot of those pits were broken up. There were other incidents going on. We haven't seen the pack just have to pit and split and then come back together, but we do have a slow car in the pit lane, of course. Hanover Fist comes in, along with Daniel Nyman. So Nyman in for service. Poor guy. Was fantastic earlier. Never got a lap lead, but we knew he was here. Race leaders just took 11 to go. They'll come around and pass one car. That'll be Cameron Thompson, actually, who... How in the world has he lost a lap? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, he pitted. Okay, that makes sense now. It didn't compute at first, but yeah, he's been chewed up and spit out by every group he's come across. This might be his only saving grace to try and hang on to the back end. Or I guess the lucky dog position should we get a caution flag. And that is 10 laps to go. '96 gets passed up. That's Evan Patinko on his own. Daniel Nyman, by the way, still in the pit lane, and it looks like he might be done for the day. This lead pack currently holds 7 lead lap cars running through Adam Ball here, who's 9th in line. They've picked up the 12 and the 7, who are teammates. Harper and Thompson now making this group just a little bit larger, and I don't think Adam Ball is too worried, truthfully, about what's going on as we take 9 laps to go. And I really do mean it. Hurry up and wait. That's about all we can do in this situation. We've got the picture in front of us. These guys have to pit. That's it. These guys have to pit. We don't know where anybody is going to sort out. We don't know who is going to have the race lead. We don't know the exact delta. But as we take 8 laps to go this time by, we have worked right to the edge of what these guys can do, and sure enough, pit stops. Look at that timing. And so this brings the rest of this lead group down, including Adam Ball, which means we should see, yep, Ryan Patty, Cody Eldrin, and everybody else work down the pits. So there is Finnegan. He was second in line. Gladulich was deeper in that group, but on exit, Gladulich will lead, and Cody Neal drops to the back end of that 7-car pack. And I think he had to adjust in his box. He comes out 4 seconds slower than the rest of our leaders that just pitted. And here we go. This is where everybody's going to merge back together. Justin, Michael, and those guys are going to be right with them. We're going to have ourselves a pack, it looks like. They might be able to draft through if Finnegan just stays up. Rather, that was not Finnegan. That's actually the 15 of Teseo. And this 14 of Gladulich needs to do everything possible to jump in line. I don't know how in the world, but Lariah has paired up with that group. Although Lariah will have to pit. So stage 1 winner is out here on borrowed time, but it has helped Gladulich actually pull back up Finnegan will stay in line, but we have ourselves a pack that will be able to race for the win. A pack that is not just Bandit, or Backroad Bandit teammates. Yeah, Laria's going to drop back here. He knows he's got a pit, likely this lap. I think has accepted his fate at this point in time. And will come in around. I believe he's got a pit this time. So Lariah out of the way. That means everybody up here is for position. This group is now 8 cars deep. It runs through Jacob Gladulich in that 14 car. And they can go just about anywhere they need to. That was 6 to go at the stripe. There's a second group with Sean Purcell, and Adam Ball just dropped out of it. He goes all the way down onto the apron. But Sean Purcell, Brian Smith, Joshua Clemens, Cody Neal, and Adam Ball in a group. Then Cody Eldred and Ryan Patty a little further back. Our race for the win, though, will come from this group as the 33 gets passed up. Of course, he was in a crash earlier. I think a lot of the power in this race right now falls on the shoulders of the 6 car. Finnegan has the opportunity to be the first car to initiate a move down low that is not from Backroad Bandit Racing. Backroad Bandit Motorsports, or however the verbiage is there, but he's not a Backroad Bandit. He has an opportunity to be the first car to make an odd move as Nyman is lapped. And here it is. He's going to stay low after passing the lap 51 car. And he's going to try to make something happen here with the help of everybody else in the group. So he's got Gunther, he's got Bissonette, he's got Lockett, he's got Gladulich. It's 3 up top versus 5 down low. It's the Backroad Bandits versus the rest of the top 8. And what a job those 3 have done, by the way, from Backroad Bandits. They have been absolutely phenomenal. I've said their team name more than I've said some driver names in this race. They have been phenomenal. They have positioned themselves better than I've seen any iRacing team do in a long, long while. 3 laps to go. You know, in the Daytona 500... about 6 nights ago, we had a controversial finish thanks to overtime and caution rules. Here at iRacing.com, we have a few attempts at a green-white checkered, but we don't have as many of those same rules. As we take 2 to go this next time by, if the caution comes out with 1 lap to go, the race is over. If the caution, actually, there won't even be a caution at that point. If the caution comes out before 1 lap to go, so on this next lap, lap 119, there's a chance, well, not even a chance, that would be a green-white checkered. That would initiate a green-white checkered scenario as we stay side by side between Lockett and Gladulich. But it has to happen on this lap here, and there's a move from Finnegan down to the bottom of the racetrack. We are within the final 5 miles of our scheduled distance at Daytona. So many of these races go to overtime, but we are less than a half lap away from the first white flag brought to you by Whiplash Simcams of the season. And Finnegan has taken the race lead, at least for the moment. It's 4 versus 4. 4 up top, 4 down low. We're going to race into the tri-oval and take the white flag brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. It's official. We're going the scheduled distance of 300 laps, and the top side prevails once again. Lockett now, the first car that is not from Backroad Bandits. Everybody else, they have absolutely fumbled this opportunity. That top 3 is not going to move until out of turn 4. And Finnegan knows that. He drops down to the inside lane. He's going to bring Gunther. They're in a good spot here. They're going to use the inside lane through turns 3 and 4. They're going to have an opportunity to go for the race win. It's going to be a drag race in the Icon Daytona 300 crash. There they go. Down to the inside wall, Michael and Finnegan. But it's a win at Daytona for Millfelt. Michael Millfelt Jr., the Icon Daytona 300 race winner. And I think the most iconic part of this win is the old Toyota Camry paint scheme on this new Camry body. Somebody didn't get him the memo about that paint. A few cars left to sort this race out. Robert Dials along with Vincent Laraya. Laraya will just get him at the line for 19th. Wow. What a painful result for a Stage 1 winner. Hanover Fist will come across 23rd. Cameron Thompson will be our first car. 1 lap down, it looks like. Actually, I think he's still driving through some of the field. But up front, look at this guy. Able to do some donuts here at Daytona, where everybody wants to celebrate. Congratulations, Michael Millfelt Jr. Race winner this evening in the Icon Daytona 300. And that whole Back Road Bandits team has got to be happy. Got to be happy. Absolutely phenomenal job setting themselves up at the end of this race. They still take 1-2. Fantastic job by that bunch, and we'll see some start-finish line burnouts from Millfelt in the 155. Job well done. How about Zach Lockett doing a great job there at the end to join Back Road Bandits on the podium? And there goes the motor for Millfelt. So as these drivers get ready for post-race, let's take a look at who ends up finishing where. Of course, Millfelt with the race win. Widener there in the second spot. Lockett third. I just take this in for a moment. As we take a look, there we go, properly at the track during nighttime conditions. That's what we were going for there. But just take this in. The top 10 strewn about over the course of 6.5 seconds. Some very interesting results. Gladulich there in the 7th spot. Justin Michael ends up 8th after the crash, with Nathan Finnegan, who ends up 6th. Still not bad for the 6th car. Justin Bissonette there in the top 5. Kevin Gunther recovers to 4th. Thought he was out of the race at one point. And Cody Neal with the top 10. Go a little further down in the order. Sean Purcell, nearly a top 10 at the end of the race as well. He goes 11th. Joshua Clemens, 12th. Adam Ball, solid finish there at 13th. Cody Eldred. Ryan Patty, all things considered, solid job to come back to 15th position. Vincent Laraya, I think, one of the big letdowns. He won Stage 1, nearly won Stage 2. Ends up 19th. Kyle Corley, Tanner Dio, Hanover Fist leading the charge here. Well, I say leading. They're the last cars to finish on the lead lap. Cameron Thompson, the first one a lap down. And he was a big part of the lead group for a while. And a whole lot of heartbreaks further back. Brock Hersey, Anthony Tasea, Robert Bluin, from the first crash. Stephen Tuck, Daniel Nyman, that one hurts. Kyle Purcell back here. Heath Smith. A couple of really good cars finishing deep in this field. Up front, though, it is all car 155. That, of course, reflected on the results sheet. Mike Millfelt Jr., Daytona 300 winner. How does that sound?
That sounds awesome.
Absolutely. Perfect way to start this season off. It wasn't necessarily the stage results you wanted to maximize on the effort, but 17 laps led. The winner here, when it's all said and done, that's absolutely the way you and the Backroad Bandits want to start this season, and you guys did so absolutely phenomenally. How did you organize that teamwork and make sure it didn't break down at the end?
That was definitely a team win. Me, Justin, Charlie, and Heath. Just working together the whole time, trying to stay together. There was a couple times we got separated, but managed to get together at the end. We lost Heath, unfortunately. But yeah, I thought it was going to be like a 1-2-3. Was hoping for it, but we'll take this.
And it's difficult to have 2-3 green flag pit stops go perfectly, but you guys did that as a team. Is there anything other than just reps, getting repetition down to the pit lane? Is there any trick you guys have, or is it just a matter of going down there and actually practicing to get those pit stops right?
It's screwing it up lots of times and learning from it. Yeah, it's just repetitiveness. Keep doing it over and over until you get it right. And believe me, I've gotten it wrong a lot.
And of course, moving forward, we go to Las Vegas in a week's time. We're kind of skipping over that Atlanta thing early in the season, so no plate race back-to-back. We go to Las Vegas, a big-time driver racetrack. We'll still see a little bit of pack racing. How do you prepare for it?
I don't know that we're really going to do anything special for it. I think that's a good track for all of us. I think we'll have a good showing there, too.
Well, Mike, good to talk to you. Congratulations to you and even Charles there at the end, and even Justin with a solid finish as well. You guys absolutely dominated this race. We'll look out for you at Las Vegas.
Thanks, guys. I want to thank Scott Patton for the paint. Patented Paints. They do a really good job. Thanks, Ryan Patty, and all the admins for this league. First time running it, so we'll see how it goes this year. But it seemed like a good group of guys to race with.
Well, I get the best of the bunch, at least for one race going. Hopefully we're talking to you a lot more this season.
Hopefully. Thank you, guys.
Michael Milfelt Jr. will begin 2024 on top of the world, but closely behind his teammate Charlie Widener in the 95 car. And Charlie, really solid effort there at the end, but it kind of broke down that last lap. Was there anything maybe you guys could have done differently to not lose Justin coming to the flag?
I don't know. We were committed to pushing in that line there, and yeah, the car behind me, it's last lap, so he was pushing. I don't blame that, but it caused me to. He pushed me into Justin, and I ended up hitting him a little weird, and he got knocked down the track a bit, but it almost worked out in our favor for a perfect 1-2-3 there.
Regardless, a solid effort, and you kind of had more of a roller coaster day. Your teammates ahead of you, they really stayed up front all race long. What was it like overcoming those obstacles for you mid-race?
Yeah, it was kind of a running joke during the race, because every time I'd finally get to them, something would happen. Either they would go down and I didn't have room, or something would happen. I'd drop to the back. And I'd have to get a little aggressive and get back up there to them, but I'm just glad when I finally got up there, I was able to stay up there.
Well, Charlie, congratulations. You start this season right up top with the rest of your team. Second place, a good starting spot. Hopefully we're talking to you at Vegas next week.
That sounds good.
Charlie Widener finishing second spot this evening. It'll be Zach Lockett, though, who comes home third, and he's the odd man out, considering everything that was shaping up those last few laps. Zach, how did you stick it to those teammates that you were trying to work against?
Yeah, honestly, I had no idea that all of them were teammates. I had just found that out in the waiting room right now, that the 95, the 87, the 155 were teammates. I knew Finnegan and the 06 were teammates as well. So once they kind of left me out to dry with a lap to go, I was like, you know what, all right, I'm going to work with this top lane. Maybe they're not teammates. Maybe they're going to work a little bit better, but then end up trying to go to the bottom and we'll get a run off the top. I had no idea, but just wanted to, stay up there with them and then hope for a little bit of chaos. And that's what happened when the 95, pushed the 87 a little bit too hard and he wrecked a little bit, and I was able to squeak in there into third.
And of course, this is a big springboard for anything that might come at you during the rest of the season. Gets you a few extra points to get going. But how do you carry this over into the rest of the tracks that we see coming up, especially earlier in this season? We go to Las Vegas, then Phoenix, then Bristol. A whole lot of completely different racetracks to get us started.
Yeah, it's definitely good to get this kind of finish here early in the season. That leaves you a little bit of lee room to, if you end up having a bad race or two. But I'm lucky enough to where next week we go to Las Vegas. That's my favorite track on the service, so I'm really excited for that. And then go to Phoenix, where I might struggle a little bit, but really looking forward to next week and hopefully getting 2 good finishes. But this is hopefully just the beginning of something this season. Really hoping to kind of keep the momentum going. Like I said, especially at a track that I really like next week.
Well, Zach, congratulations. P3 is a solid day, especially when you were as low as 26th. Hopefully we're talking to you a lot more this season.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Zach Lockett, P3, when it's all said and done. A really solid day here at the virtual racetrack. Just the way you want to get things started. And we can go ahead and cross race 1 off of this list. That's not how you do it. Here we go. Cross it off just like that. The Daytona 300 is out of the way. Las Vegas then comes up next. 160 laps next week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. This graphic, by the way, I think lays things out really nicely. 25 regular season races, 13 on the left column, 12 in the middle column, and then 12 races in that playoff, which is absolutely insane, by the way. More than we have ever seen in NASCAR. It's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to kicking off the playoffs with Daytona, then Darlington, then Atlanta. You can't get more chaotic than that. We got to the road course at Watkins Glen, Bristol, Kansas. That'll be a whole bunch of fun as well in that short group of races, that round of 12. Then Talladega, the Charlotte Roval, Las Vegas again for their second race on the schedule. And of course, the final 4, the round of 4, Miami, Martinsville, and Phoenix. A lot of great racetracks throughout. I mean, some of my favorite racetracks I think we'll be going to this season. Martinsville, of course, that's a favorite for, I think, most NASCAR fans. Race 7 will be a lot of fun. Talladega, of course, is always one to consider. Darlington and Charlotte back-to-back early in this season. How about Gateway for race 14? Sonoma, Iowa, New Hampshire, Nashville, Chicago, Pocono, Indianapolis. I don't know how you can get a better string of races over the summer months, even into the legacy scan of Atlanta, then into California. Then you go to a short track at Richmond, then Michigan to round out the regular season. And you know what? There aren't many road courses over that summer stretch when historically there have been. I think we're down to what, 4 road courses? I'm sorry, 5, because we have the Chicago Street Course. So 5 total road courses this season. We lose Indianapolis Road. We've recently lost Road America to the Chicago Street Course. So a lot of change, but a lot of ovals in that summer stretch. Should be a lot of fun for these guys. And a lot of unique racetracks as well. Well, as we're able to kind of close things out here this evening, again, thank you so much for watching. This is just the beginning of 2024 for the Icon Cup Series, as you saw. And just the beginning, well, I guess the end of February technically, and the beginning still of a new year for us at Pit Stop TV. We're only a couple of months in, although I could spin it the other way and say we're already a third of the year through. Regardless, Tuesday, I say a sixth of the year, not a third of the year, a sixth of the year. So we're already over 15% of the way through this year, and that's a scary thought. Regardless, Tuesday we head out to Southern National Motorsports Park. We stay there for Thursday's broadcast. That's the Lucky Motorsport Solutions Street Stocks on Tuesday, the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series on Thursday, and Sunday we rinse and repeat, but on a 1.5 mile out at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for race number 2 for the Icon Cup Series. Make sure to follow along on all of our social media channels for everything Pit Stop TV. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. A big shout out to our partners here at the channel, Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, and CC's Business, helping us get to and from the virtual racetrack. And a nod as well to these groups at the bottom of your screen. In audio, ATVO, Whiplash SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com, making sure these broadcasts are possible. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you next time, hopefully Tuesday at Southern National. Otherwise, next Sunday, March 3rd at Las Vegas. We'll see you there.